A good friend of mine recently came to me for advice. He studied computer science and worked as a software engineer for about a year, but now he's leaving that behind and he's going to pursue his CPA designation. And maybe that sounds like a weird move. Over the last 10 years, it's probably more common to go the other way around. So why is he doing it? The tech industry is pretty brutal right now. There is layoffs and hiring freezes and outsourcing to other continents and obviously AI. And the impact that AI is having on the job market is a pretty fiercely debated topic currently. But as a junior dev, after struggling to find work, I think he's just had enough and wants to go in another direction. So he came to me asking what my thoughts were and whether or not I thought it was a good idea, what the CPA program entails. And honestly, what I told him was that I thought it's a great idea. So in this video, I'm going to share basically what I told my friend and why I think it's actually a great career decision and the downsides are not actually as bad as you might think. And the last one is something that is genuinely worth getting excited about. So I think the major concern that someone might have if they're considering transitioning from tech and computer science to finance and accounting is the time it takes to become qualified. You've probably spent 3 to 5 years studying, maybe 1 or 2 working, and pivoting into a new career path probably feels like taking a step back or a major setback in general. To be honest, it does take a lot of time to become a CPA from scratch. If you don't have the prerequisite courses from university, you'll have to take those, which is probably 1 to 2 years of work. And then you have to do the actual program after that where you study part-time while working full-time and getting the number of work experience hours needed to get the designation. So all in all, it might be 4 or 5 years from start to finish. And again, if you're coming from another career path, that probably seems pretty daunting to commit another 4 or 5 years to education and only then be starting your career, right? That's time that you theoretically could have spent work and moving up what I'll call the computer science ladder. And that's pretty reasonable. But, and this is a big but, that's not the right word. But I think what's important to keep in mind is that the CPA program is not just an educational program. Like I said, it requires 2 to 3 years of real world work experience to achieve the designation. It's not just studying and passing an exam. And most people start in a junior accountant position, and by the end of those 2 or 3 years, you can likely expect to come out of it in a senior accountant position. So you are moving up the career ladder pretty quickly. In fact, depending on the route that you go, and the opportunities that arise, it's not uncommon to be promoted into a manager position 1 or 2 years after that. So that's only 7 or 8 years to go from scratch to the manager position. And if, say, you've just graduated from university or you're in your first year of career, that's really not going to be a huge difference in the scoped out timeline of your career, which obviously might last 40 or 50 years. Like, to be totally clear here, the speed of your career progression is one of the main advertised benefits of the CPA program. They're very proud of the claim that if you take the path, you will be promoted and you will move up the career ladder faster than you would otherwise. So ultimately what I'm trying to say is that the stress that you might be feeling towards a career change is not as valid as you might think. I feel confident recommending the path to you guys because I honestly think that you wouldn't be very far behind than if you had stayed on the path that you were originally on. Okay, the next topic is job security in the world of AI. Because I think this is a discussion that, while its immediate impacts are hotly debated, it's difficult to think of a world where AI doesn't have a massive impact on corporate jobs. And I think any career decision at this point needs to take it into account. For the past 10 to 20 years or so, it has been generally accepted that software is going to eat the world and that there will always be a need for more and more devs. And that worked out really well for the people that took that advice until recently. And I think it's worthwhile when having this discussion to think about something called the Lindy effect, which was popularized by Nassim Nicholas Taleb in the book Anti-Fragile. And it's basically the idea that the longer something has been around, the more likely it is to stay around. And while I think it's a little bit speculative or hand-wavy to just apply this to software development and accountants, fundamentally, accounting can be traced back literally thousands of years and is thought to have developed alongside writing writing and money. Even as far back as the early Egyptians, for example, were known to have had auditing systems to make sure that the financial information that they kept track of was accurate. But obviously, I'm a little bit biased, so if we're being more generous, I think it's fair to say that double entry accounting, which is really the methodological bedrock of the modern accounting system, was conceived by Venetian merchants in the 15th century. So I think it's fair to say that modern accounting is probably 500 years old, which would make it 5 to 10 times older than development. Now, of course, in reality, you can't just rely on the fact that something has been around for a long time and will therefore continue to be around. I'm aware of that. But I do think that along a more logical line of reasoning, I do think that the reason that AI is improving so quickly in the realm of writing code is that, well, one, it's made by coders basically, so they understand the problem of coders better and can hone the AI to fix those problems. But also that code is really a yes or no thing. It either compiles or it doesn't. And again, I can hear so many software developers saying that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I do just think that if you need results to train an AI on, it either working or doesn't makes it a lot easier for the AI to get better at that thing. Accounting and finance, on the other hand, are very judgmental and nuanced and rely on a lot of context and judgment to make sound decisions. And CPAs are actually responsible and reliable for the financial information being presented in the correct way. That is one of the values of the designation, is that employers and market participants and stakeholders all understand that the CPA who signs off on financial statements is ultimately responsible for the accurate presentation of that information. It is a liability, so to speak, on their career and their reputation. This responsibility and liability, regardless of how capable an AI is, cannot just be passed on to that AI. If the AI makes mistakes or hallucinates, they cannot be held liable for those mistakes. It's an AI. And I think it would require pretty substantial changes in the law as well for the company of that AI to be held responsible. So just on that basis, I think it would be very hard to remove the role of the CPA in our economy, regardless of how fast or advanced AI progresses. Along that line, I actually think there is plenty of arguments to be made as to why AI increases the need for CPAs in the market rather than decreases it. And fundamentally, that has to do with what the role of the CPA actually is in an organization. Again, the role is not just bookkeeping, it's not necessarily just accounting. The role of the CPA is to help with strategic decision making, whether that's identifying risks and managing them with the proper controls, implementing new systems like AI to make sure that they're safe, and again, if AI is doing a lot of the work, figuring out how to best use it to make sure that it is transparent and auditable and trustworthy. And these are the exact things that CPAs are trained to provide. So while I won't promise that the career and the role is safe from AI disruption, I do feel confident in thinking that it will last quite a bit longer than some other career paths might. Okay, and then the last point, and the one that I think is really the most important and most exciting reason why it makes total sense to move from tech to finance and accounting and become a CPA, is that the knowledge and the experience and the skills that you have are highly valuable for a CPA, and as you build on them, it will serve you well to really make you stand out and be a real superstar in your workplace. This is for two distinct reasons. The first is your professional services skill set. The CPA is one of those professions where any knowledge and any experience that you can bring to the table is highly valuable. I developed skills working in a Panago pizza while I was in university that come in handy as a CPA today, and that is not a lie. Even if you can't describe it, being aware of business processes and customer service and working with stakeholders, which I know you do as a developer to understand business processes and turn that into code, is very similar to what a senior accountant or financial analyst might do today. In the same way, you have to work with various stakeholders from across the business, understand a business process, and then model it and any changes in assumptions and that process going forward. Already knowing the soft skills required to do that is such an advantage, and I highly encourage anyone who decides to make this decision to lean on that as not only something that you actually do in your career and in your day-to-day, but also in any interview process you do during recruiting for Big Four accounting firms or for any industry industry organization that you hope to get a job at and where you want to get your work experience. And the second point is domain knowledge. Yes, you are going to have to do a lot of learning in terms of economics and accounting and finance, but you are going to get those things through the education of the program. At the same time, people that are already CPAs are increasingly expected to understand information systems, be data proficient, and be early adopters for new technologies like AI. They are expected to understand these things at a working level and provide their insight for strategic and governance decisions like we discussed in the last point. So when you think about it this way, with your experience and knowledge as a developer, you are going to have a much deeper understanding than any pure business or pure accounting CPA is going to be able to offer, and you can really lean on that to stand out and differentiate yourself from the rest of the crowd. Like, there are even specialized CPA paths that you can take, like risk assurance, for example, which is essentially the auditing of IT systems at organizations so that the financial auditors can come in and do their audits of financial accounts. And this is really a perfect match between the information system knowledge that you have and the accounting system that you're going to gain. And from anyone who's thinking of moving from tech to finance and accounting, I really recommend looking into this route, because I don't think many people are as aware of it as they might be, and it could be a really great path for people like you. So that's all to say, if you decide to pursue the CPA career path, you're not leaving your knowledge and experience behind. It is so valuable, and it can really be something that you lean on and you leverage to get ahead, and it is really a wonderful coupling of skill sets. Now, if you are thinking of pursuing your CPA designation, you're going to have a few different paths in front of you. Personally, I went the Big Four accounting route, but I ended up leaving after becoming a CPA. And if you want to know why that was, you should definitely check out this video over here where I break down all the reasons why I left Big Four accounting and what my thoughts are a year afterwards. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts on the 3 reasons why I think moving from tech to accounting is a great career decision. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I coping? And AI is going to take all our jobs no matter what? Leave a comment and let me know, and thank you for watching.